Okay, the KIA Sportage. Where have you been, bro? Because this car, if you remember, if you're Malaysian, and probably you are because you are watching this video and my YouTube analytics tells me that you are Malaysian most likely, you remember that this car has been on hiatus for quite a while. It's been missing in action. Actually, it's been 8 or 9 years since the last Sportage was actually here in Malaysia, launched with a completely different distributor. Bermaz wasn't even in the picture. What I'm saying is, we've missed you. Such a big boy now, so grown up, so handsome already. You've been supplementing, is it? You've been taking a protein shake, is it? It looks like it. I've heard the KIA Sportage has been doing pretty well in the years it's been ignoring our market. But now that it's back, can it tame the more cutthroat market? After all, the Sportage is one of the soft-roading SUV OGs. It's like a hometown boy coming back to his old neighborhood. Things have changed around here. It's an SUV, another one. Or even more geeky, a C-segment SUV, another one. But what does that even mean? Literally nobody cares and nobody even knows what that means. A C-segment SUV. I don't know. Do you? Each generation, each year, cars get bigger. Fact. The segment thing may have made sense some years ago, but not today, definitely. And the reason why I bring that up is because the Sportage that we get here in Malaysia is actually the bigger one. There's two. Did you know that? We get the long wheelbase one, which increases the wheelbase by 75 millimeters, and that's a lot. The length increases by 145 millimeters, but somehow this is still a C-segment SUV, so see how this doesn't make much sense. There are 4 variants altogether, with the range kicking off at 146,000 ringgit. And what I have on test here is what I think is the best pick of the bunch, the 1.6T two-wheel drive high at 176,000 ringgit. Basically the one slot below the range topper. Kia seems to have also kowtowed to the Bermaz way of naming their variants too. What happened to the GT line and stuff? I kind of missed that. Now it's just mid and high. Let's be real, this one goes up against the Honda CR-V, specifically the one down from the range topper also, the 1.5V, which is also a bit more expensive, 182,000 ringgit. And then there's the Mazda CX-5 2.5G two-wheel drive high at 173,000 ringgit. So a little bit less. No doubt, it's really good to drive for what it is, but the CX-5, it's getting pretty long in the tooth. Where is the CX-50 already? I mean, come on. Oh crap, I forgot its most obvious / awkward competitor, the Hyundai Tucson. Underneath the skins, it's all the same exact car actually, because you know, Hyundai, Kia, all the same thing. It's got the same 1.6 litre turbocharged engine, even beat the Sportage to market in Malaysia by a full year, and yet never see it around. I never see it in the wild being driven. Why is that? People always use the word bold to describe their car designs these days. Every marketing department of every car company uses the word like they have no other choice. But hey, the Sportage, you know what? It is bold. It fits the word. The previous Gen 1, I didn't quite like it. This one has got a flatter bonnet design and a more upright stance with stronger shoulders. It's got a more Americanized SUV design, if you know what I mean. Kind of like what happened with the current 6th Gen Honda CR-V over the older 5th Gen. And I like the profile of this car a lot, which is a lot more swept back on this long wheelbase version, like a slightly lifted up wagon. And I like wagons. The rear end looks way better to my eyes on the long wheelbase too, because it's got a more correctly proportioned backside, which is my favorite compliment to give. Very minimal also with the logos and the lettering, full LED taillights, fake diffuser though, but no fake exhaust because all the exhausts are down here hidden beneath, out of sight. How it should be. There's that front, that boldness, this tiger nose front end. At first I thought it was a bit too much, a little bit too bold or whatever, okay? Like someone making this face all the time. Because it looks like it's been stretched out by these LED DRL elements over here. But I've grown to like it, and at night, it's one of the most recognizable light signatures you'll see coming up in your rear view mirror. And look at those wheels. Two-tone diamond cut finish, nice design as well. 18-inch alloys in a time when even the Proton X70 has 19-inch alloys. And it doesn't look undersized at all. Speaking of size, look at that sidewall. These are Hankook Dynapro HP2 tires. Not familiar with that exact model, but look how much sidewall you get. That is a lot of sidewall, which will come in handy, I'm sure, during the drive. Hashtag foreshadowing. There are 2 engine options of the 4 variants, neatly splitting them in half as well. The entry variant and the one up from that get a naturally aspirated 2-liter engine with 154 PS hooked up to a conventional 6-speed automatic. But the 2 higher variants, this one and the all-wheel drive at the very top, you get the 1.6 liter turbo petrol engine with 177 PS and 265 Nm of torque. So less power but more torque than 1.5 VTEC turbo in the CR-V. And unlike the CR-V, which is hooked up to a CVT, this one uses a 7-speed dual clutch. Of course, you got a power tailgate as well. Does it have a kick sensor? I don't think so. I don't care. Actually, I never use it. It's kind of a useless feature, to be honest, in my opinion. This nice EV6-like hatchback opens up to a 545-liter boot and a nice flat low floor over here, so you can easily just like swing out your luggage or whatever you have in the boot. This is Bermaz's ever-enduring love affair with these Maggie-style carpets, but underneath the floor you get a space-saver rear wheel, hook points, one pair over here, one pair closer to the back seats. The tonneau cover as well over here, you can extend it really easily. And if you fold the seats down, you get 1,800 liters of space. You see, it does feel pretty solid. Let me do it again. Yeah, pretty solid. So the first interaction I had with the car is actually the key. This key fob is pretty nice. All the controls for lock, unlock, hold for opening the boot, and the remote engine start all on the side over here, nice and slim as well, so that I can fit it in my pants pocket without me feeling like I had anything in my pants pocket at all. I just forget it's there. The presentation in this car is really quite impressive because you feel like you're in a more upmarket car. And I think Kia is going for that whole upmarket push thing. Same with Mazda, same with Honda, same with even Toyota. And the moment you shut the door, you do feel like you're cocooned a little bit in this car. That feeling that you're in a high quality, vehicle. It is synthetic materials, mostly plastics and synthetic leather-like, leather alternatives. But they do feel really high quality, soft touch, and they do feel screwed together and integrated design-wise into the cabin really well. Speaking of synthetic leather, that's what these seats are. First of all, these seats, I wish they weren't just a black interior with black seats, like I always say. I actually prefer leatherette seats. Let me tell you why. Because you have to get to the levels of like Rolls-Royce or like Bentley levels of leather, right? The leather conditioning, the leather craftsmanship, and the leather treating is so refined over there that you do feel like you're in a super luxury car and you can really enjoy and smell the leather. In other cars, where you do have low quality leather, it just feels cheap. You can get even more comfort and more luxury, even more tactility and usability with synthetic materials. In this case, the leatherette is really nice. The texture is on point to the point that it does feel like leather. And these seats have perforations over here. So it tells me that these seats probably are heated and or ventilated, but neither is the case. These buttons over here are conspicuously blank. And in other markets where they do have ventilated and or heated seats, these are those buttons. Even the Proton X70, a car which I've mentioned before, in Malaysia, you can get it for a much cheaper price than this car, has vented seats. Just kind of a missing feature in this car. Next to it, I do like the center console design over here. Very minimal, but a lot of controls within reach. You have a rotary gear selector and integrated with the cup holders and storage, buttons over here for drive mode, start button over here, given a nice piano black finish, which so far has resisted scratching. Even when I do try to use my nails a little bit, I can't really scratch it. And then you have the HVAC control, so dual zone climate control, but it's a mix between analog and digital controls, because over here you can actually use a shortcut array for things for the infotainment system like home, phone, seat, track, radio, media setup. But you press a button and it goes to a touch sensitive control for fan speed. It'll read out over here for your physical knob, switching between, your single zone or dual zone climate control. I can press sync up or sync down if I want to. But just the gap between having everything just kind of like piled onto the screen and having it nicely, elegantly integrated with analog-ish controls. It's not quite premium, not like maybe the Germans or Volvo, the Swedes, but it does feel like it wants to get there, and they are getting there. In fact, I would put it about on par, if not nicer than the CX-5 from Mazda. Why is it almost always a 12.3-inch screen? Is there some supplier for LCDs that are making a lot of money just selling to automotive manufacturers because Mercedes uses them? I think Proton uses them as well. At least the size. I'm not sure if the screen itself is the same, but the size, for some reason, they've all decided that they want to use 12.3-inch panels. In this case, it is 12.3 inch times 2. So if they want to call it 24.6 inch, I guess they can, but there's a big border over here, which you can't tell, by the way, whatever treatment they've done to kind of mask the border between two screens and the black, the inky black of the screen is done very well. The interface is pretty okay. It's a bit basic though, because when you start the car up, you go to this blank screen like I am right now. I didn't know at first you're supposed to just swipe this way. So I'm like, wait, is this like the standby screen? Am I supposed to do something? Is it just like tapping everywhere? Oh, I gotta scroll over here. Okay, fine. And then I can press Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and I just stick to that, which is wireless, but it lacks a wireless charger in this car. Not like I use it very much, because every single car that I've used wireless charging or has wireless charging, I never really use it for that long, because my phone, before too long, if I'm using CarPlay or a map or music or all of them at the same time, before long my phone gets really hot and just gets really sluggish. And I think it's better for my battery as well if I just plug it in via USB. So I have no problem with having no wireless charger. The 360 camera also is pretty good. Image quality and sharpness, very nice. You can also do this 3D effect thing like, you know, most cars can do these days. Which brings me to all the active safety features, which you can include this as a part of it. So the active safety features are available in every variant of the Sportage or Sportage, except for the baseline. So if you just skip the baseline, you can get the whole suite. And I think Kia doesn't really call it a certain name, like Honda Sensing, Toyota Safety Sense. So you get the usual stuff, right? You get collision avoidance. Actually, it will actually move the car out of the way a little bit with AEB. You get lane departure warning. You get lane keep assist. You get rear cross traffic alert. You get lead car pulling away warning signal beeping at you. Good. Driver attention warning as well. And you also get a lane assist camera. If you're familiar with Honda Lane Watch, it's like that, but better. The last time I talked about this that I remember is the Xpeng G6. Same case where it had like a camera, a wide-angle camera, a fisheye camera on the side mirror. That means when you turn the indicator on either side, it'll give you like a display to let you know exactly what is in your blind spot. In this case, it does that too, but it displays it on the little circular thing over here, which would be my rev counter or speedometer, depending on which side I indicate. This is where I think, I'm pretty sure, the Tucson, the Hyundai Tucson misses the mark, because it gets only good at the very top of the range. Besides that, you have a few variants, you have 3 variants overall, but the 2 variants, the entry-level one and the mid-spec, are pretty basic. You gotta get the 196,000 ringgit 1.6 liter max to get all the goodies. With the 175K mid-spec, you miss out on a digital instrument cluster, power adjustable passenger seat, wireless charger, power tailgate, and even climate control. You just get aircon. There's no aircon vents in the rear as well, according to the spec sheet, and no active safety at all. So Hyundai seems to have dropped the ball, in Malaysia at least, with the Tucson. And so here, Kia has come along to kind of pick up the pieces, or Bermaz has come along with the Kia Sportage to pick up the pieces. What don't you get though in the all-wheel drive, the very top end of the Sportage range in Malaysia versus this one? And I think again, this is the sweet spot. Well, from what I can glean from the spec sheet, I miss out on an 8-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, which I guess would be good to have, and it's branded and everything, but I have no complaints so far about the unbranded speakers in this car. And of course, as the name suggests, I don't get all-wheel drive. I guess it would give you a bit more confidence in all-weather, rainy situations, but other than that, I think this car is pretty good how it is. Again, nice thud. A lot of cars have nice materials and finishing for the front doors, but the rear door is a little bit neglected. Over here, same materials, same soft touch, same quality. The windows, well, look at that. They go all the way down. But the thing is, in Malaysia, for some reason, buyers in Malaysia, I don't personally care for it, but buyers in Malaysia seem to like having a sunroof. And in other markets, you do get a sunroof. In ours, you don't. When I'm sat back here, it is comfortable. This car actually has a longer wheelbase than the CR-V. Yeah, like I said, it has a 75mm advantage in wheelbase than the CR-V. So it should be 75mm, you know, better legroom, I guess, but it doesn't feel like that. Honda are still the kings of packaging. That being said, I do get a lot of legroom, okay? I have 165 cm, not the best test for headroom or legroom, but The thigh support down here, it does extend quite far, so I'm not really having to kind of like, you know, lift my feet up or struggle for support for my thighs. It's really nice. As you might have noticed, these seats are pretty upright. And the good thing about the Sportage is that you can recline them pretty far, actually. Right, in the middle, you do get a armrest, but the armrest, this is the same thing with the Corolla that I was reviewing about last year, late last year. It just kind of like flops there. So it's, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. And you do get air conditioning vents over here, 2 of them, nothing really special, just air conditioning vents. Little storage area beneath here, little hook to hook stuff in, USB port to 1 USB-C for each of these seat backs for 1 passenger facing the rear seats. And you get like a, I don't know what they call this actually, but a little hook thing, like a bigger hook thing on the headrest of the front passengers. So I imagine you could fit, or you can hook on your sling bag or whatever, put the sling over here, let it hang down. What if you have like annoying kids in the back and just go like, come on, drive faster lah! So the first thing actually struck me about the Kia Sportage is that it is really quiet. Okay, not only the interior is quiet, but the engine is quiet. I think they put a lot of sound insulation material on the roof, door panels, the firewall, especially with the engine. Because when you go out of this car, when you step out of this car, the engine is noticeable. You can hear it. It's not loud, but you can hear it. But I can hear the air conditioning more than I can sense the vibration or even the noise of the engine. That's kind of nuts. And that just translates into a very quiet, composed driving experience. So I accelerate. Yes, it does go on. And this double clutch, it behaves a lot like automatic in the sense that it is incredibly smooth. You don't feel, even with other quite smooth and tuned to be comfort-oriented DCT gearboxes, like let's say in the Proton X70, right? You can still sense when the gear changes happen. It's not a jolt, it's not sudden, and it's not jarring, but you can still sense when it happens. In this, it's a lot less perceptible. I don't, unless I look at the rev counter and you know it goes up and steps down, up and steps down, 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 down again, then I know what happens. But if I'm looking ahead of myself to the road or something else in my view, I don't really realize gear changes happen in this car. Again, one of those things that just one of those small things that tell me that I'm in a more expensive car than I realize. Then I forget that I'm in a Kia. Because Kia, in let's say 1 o'clock back, like 15 years, it was definitely a budget option, you know? The build quality was whatever. The designs were whatever. It was a good price, so you bought them. And they were okay. But now they've really stepped up. And it's the first whiff that I got of that was with the Carnival. The current generation Carnival just looks, feels like a step up. But the Sportage, it just kind of like kicks me in the back and reminds me like, yo, they've come a long way, bro. They've made it, kind of. They've made it. So what do you have right now? Okay, the Sportage is not a hybrid. It's just a turbo petrol, and or if you go for the lower end variants, you get a 2-liter normally aspirated engine with 150 something PS. And to be honest, in defense of that engine, I like it. I was driving it about just before CNY this year, around some bends, you know, in like the highlands of Selangor over there, and it handled really well, and it was responsive. It sounded kind of good as well. So when you come up to the 1.6 turbo, kind of really impressed me, and this car didn't impress me as much in those conditions. This variant of the Sportage really does excel at being a highway cruiser, being a city car, being a family car, because it's so quiet. It's so quiet, it's really, really smooth. 177 PS and 265 Newton meters of torque. They call it Smart Stream, but I'm pretty sure it's the same block and design as the 1.6 turbo they've offered for years now. The one that they've offered in the Kia Forte Coupe, or the Kia Coupe, or whatever it was, or the Hyundai Veloster, those cars, or the Elantra Sport. Power is good. I've not been wanting for power. The thing is, it's so smooth that I don't really want to shift out of comfort or eco. I'll get to eco in a little bit, okay? Let's just try sport. Heavier steering, ooh, quite a bit heavier steering you put in sport. Okay. It does give you a lot of power quite early in the rev range. Pretty aggressive with the throttle mapping in sport. 150 kilometers per hour right there. Brakes are really linear, by the way. Doesn't change. The brake feel doesn't change with sport mode or eco mode or whatever, but it's really linear and really progressive. So when you actually tap on the brakes or just kind of like breathe on the brakes, it's a very smooth stopping process. Let's go back to comfort, or sorry, normal mode. Quietens down. This is how the car is supposed to be. Do I feel like this is more powerful or faster than the VTEC Turbo in the CR-V? I don't know, nor do I care to time it. Z100 is completely immaterial. You test drive this car and you tell me if Z100 is your priority, okay? And it's not a priority in the CR-V either. If you buy the sedan, if you buy the Civic, okay, fine. You want to be one of those people who, care about Z100 times? Fine. But this car, it feels, okay, if you need a number from me, because Kia doesn't really give me a number in the brochure, and I don't want to make assumptions based on other markets with the same engine, the same long wheelbase version of the Kia Sportage, but this car does feel like a 7 to 8 second, 7.5 second Z100 time. It's not slow, but it's not really fast either. Nor do you want it to be, like I said. The things that do annoy me about this car though, a couple of things. Nothing to do with the drive. It is to do with the infotainment / tech package, because every single time I get in this car, the lane keep assist, I always turn off because it's a little bit too sensitive. It's the same complaint that I have over and over again with a lot of Chinese made cars. And the thing is, with those cars, you turn it off and every single time you get back into it, turn the car back on, it resets. It doesn't trust the driver. Why can't you just respect my decision to keep driver assistance features off? It's my car, or at least if it was my car, I would want it off. If I put it off, stay off, please. Second thing is that the home button for the infotainment system is all the way on the edge of the left side of the screen. But this is a right-hand drive car. It would really be helpful if they move that cluster of controls to this side, to the right side facing me. Clearly this car was made for left-hand drive markets, maybe primarily. I mean, I know I got short arms, but come on, this is just, it's an easy software fix that they could do. And I hope they do that. In terms of handling, okay, I do feel that this is more softly sprung. More softly sprung and therefore a little bit more vague. But in terms of driver feel and everything, this car does not really put you in the mind to push it. Okay? It's a heavier car. It feels a bit more heavy. It feels a bit more chilled out. Let's just put it that way. Okay? But when you do want to get from A to B really quick, I think this car will layan you lah, okay? It just won't leave you just like feeling the fizz, if you know what I mean. It'll give you definitely that feel of being in a more luxurious car, for sure. The profile of the tires, I think it's 50 profile tires. And the sidewall is just thick, super thick. But it doesn't make the 18-inch wheels look undersized on this car. It still looks like a proper SUV and looks like an expensive SUV, not like you skimped out on the wheel size. Maybe it's the sidewall, maybe it's the tire compound, maybe it's the suspension, or a combination of all three things. But it's so comfortable. It's more comfortable than the CR-V, for sure. More comfortable than the Proton, definitely. What else is there? The Mazda CX-5, yes, more comfortable than the CX-5. This car is a comfort-oriented car, more so than any of those two rivals, the CX-5 and the CR-V. Just now went over a sharp bump. I could barely feel it. I don't know if my camera even shook. I could barely feel it, okay? Usually I would have to like, oh, sharp bump. Ooh, slow down, slow down, slow down. Boom, boom. And then, and then maybe I would react. I was like, oh, that wasn't as jarring or as shudder as I thought it would be. Or maybe maybe it's the opposite. Maybe like, oh, that was a lot more harsh than I thought it would be. In this case, I don't even Did that even happen? Did that even just happen? This is KL, this is Malaysia. Of course, you get imperfections in the road, a lot of it. Potholes here and there, just rutted surfaces all the time on apparently, newish roads. And this car just smushes them. It just smushes the bumps into submission. It doesn't leave them a chance to disturb me. And I love that. So I don't know if it was a decision to have smaller wheels because of the comfort factor, or because was it a cost-cutting measure? I don't know. To get the price under a certain level, I don't know. But if it was planning ahead and go like, guys, we want to be filling that niche of having a really comfortable SUV, really comfortable, in this market of like mass market but sub premium SUVs of this size. There's a market for the more comfort oriented one, and we want to be that. Even though our car is called a Sportage, it's not really sporty. But I think if I was choosing between the CR-V 1.5 turbo, like the V, the 1.5 V, over this, I would pick this. This might be a little bit more expensive, I'm not really sure. But about the same price. Not very far off. I would get this. This does tickle my fancy a little bit more. I think when I look at it, I think I want this car as an object, as a thing, as a car, more than I want the CR-V. And that is a very subjective thing, I accept that. But to me, that is the appeal of the Mazda. And so Mazda, ironically also because Mazda is Bermaz and Kia and everything, the CX-5 is potentially the biggest loser when it comes to the introduction of the Kia Sportage. Because this car is overall a more desirable car than the CX-5. The CX-5 has been updated, and I'm not saying it's a bad car, but it does become more obvious as time goes on that it was great back in the day, top of the game, top of the heap. But as time went on, you can only improve it so much before you actually have to start over again and actually kind of like give us a brand new, all new successor. And in the face of this, I think I would definitely get the Kia. Against the CR-V 1.5, I will get the Kia as well, because it does look better to me in my eyes. It does have more of the things that I want in an SUV. The comfort, the practicality, the way this presents is a more interesting exterior interior proposition than the CR-V, and that's why I would take the Kia. And if you do want the CR-V EHEV, the RS, 196,000 ringgit, yeah, that's a good car. The fuel economy is crazy good in that car. The power is really linear and delivers like an EV. It's excellent, okay? But the fuel economy on the Kia Sportage is also insane. To the point that I don't know if I can trust the fuel gauge, because right now I am one small, tiny 10 pixel notch down from a full tank, and I've been driving this car for 4 days. That is not that I cannot brain that. So should I not trust this car's fuel gauge? Am I actually on half tank? Because right now it's reading 459 kilometers of range with the fuel it has, which I'm guessing is accurate, but I have no idea, because this car has been doing so well. I've been driving in traffic. During our shoots, we have 2 days of shoots with this car, and with the interior stuff, when we get all the B-rolls, we keep the car on. So this car was idling, engine on idling, for like 2 hours. And before that, I was in traffic jams. I was doing this and that. So idle time with the engine on must be like 3 hours. And 200-ish kilometers between full tank when I picked it up and right now. And I barely even scratched off any fuel off the fuel gauge. It just doesn't make sense. It tells me that I've been averaging 10.8 liters per 100 km right now, even with all the acceleration just now and driving it here and there, top speed, yada yada. 10.8 liters per 100 km. That's pretty good. But it's not great to the point like I should be using up more fuel than what it's telling me right now. So either this is busted and giving me inaccurate readings, or for some reason this engine is insanely fuel efficient. And I don't know which is which. Is there like a infinite fuel glitch happening in this car? So it's fuel efficient, it's super smooth to drive, it's pretty quick when you want to go quick or fast. It handles pretty okay. It looks pretty good. And the build quality and the materials and the feel that it gives you is that of a more upmarket car. Against the CX-5, against the CR-V, this is a very worthy entrant in that class of SUV. So is this the best alternative to the Honda CR-V? Usually in other markets, I would say that title firmly goes to the Toyota RAV4, but since the RAV4 isn't available in Malaysia in showrooms anymore, unfortunately, the KIA Sportage does come pretty close. If they just tweak the spec sheet just a little bit, I think they would have an undisputed winner on their hands. The Harman-Kardon stereo, yeah, put that in the two-wheel drive high as well. And same thing with the sunroof. Buyers like that for some reason. And add in like seat ventilation. The cherry on top, saddle brown or cream colored upholstery. Yeah, boom, nailed it. So it drives really smoothly. In fact, might be the most comfortable and just best to drive around in its class. And the thing is, it offers a lot of practicality from the boot space to the interior space. It just fills that niche and fills the purpose of actually being a practical family car really, really well. And it does also tickle that little fancy for me the same way that the Mazda CX-5 tickles that fancy for object desirability. But obviously the Sportage is much more fresh. Realistically, if you wanted the C segment SUV with the most value, obviously you would get the Proton X70. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you wanted the C segment SUV or the C segment-ish SUV of a similar size with a brand prestige and brand recognition, you would get the BMW X3 or the Mercedes-Benz GLC. But for that middle ground, the not quite premium yet, but edging on the up market, and yes, Honda and Kia are in a category these days, the Sportage is a pretty good choice. Mazda straight up calls itself premium, and you can debate whether or not that's true, but the CX-5 just isn't that C-segment contender that it once was in the face of all these new competitors, the Kia Sportage included. Anyway guys, thank you for watching up to this point so far. Leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you found this a little bit useful or entertaining or whatever. Just subscribe. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I've been Jim. This is Carlist. See ya.